welcome to the Motor City Mama Show. I'm your host, Kara, and today I have in studio Darius, our founder and mastermind
What's
behind
up,
Food Folks
everyone?
Fun. I would say welcome to the studio, but this is your studio.
I've been here before. It's very nice.
So, I've known you for 8 years.
Yes, at least
But
8 years.
I don't know a lot about your background, how you got
Okay,
started.
great question. I'm surprised because I talk a lot. So, where do I begin? I always usually begin with my marketing background because that's my background. I mean, I've always had love for music and been involved in music and some type of entertainment at some point. But marketing really started down the street at Eastern in the business school. So I was never a big school person per se. My mom, that's her thing. But I always loved business, and I always, wanted to learn as much business as I could because I knew at some point I would be a CEO or have my own business. And I'm like, I want to learn everything so that I know what people should do in that business.
Right.
And I just had a love for marketing. So I went back to Eastern. I spent all of my financial aid money only on the marketing classes. So yeah,
Smart
yeah,
move.
because that's what I wanted. So for Google AdWords, it was the first year that they were offering the certification and the class. Mr. Bug Gibson, what's up, sir? If you see this, great person, but he brought that certification class to Eastern, and what it did was really taught, and it continues to teach people that want to get into Google AdWords, analytics, and things of that nature. Long story short, I that class was working with nonprofits, and a big nonprofit at that time that was my class project was the Charles H. Wright Museum in Detroit. So they really loved my work, and they invited me to come work with them. And then when I ended up working with them and getting exposed to all the things going on in Detroit, this was like 2012. Things just really started popping from there.
hmm So, what inspired you? I When I first met you, you were doing What's Up Detroit,
Yes, and
and I
still
was
doing What's Up Detroit.
I
Yes.
was I'm a fan of the show and was watching. I was very impressed with how you are with guests and
Oh,
everything.
thank you.
So I try to emulate you. I'm
Oh,
not going to get there.
thank
I'm
you.
not there yet,
Oh, what
but
you're in your own world doing amazing things. We all feed off of each other.
yeah. So how was that process getting that show started, and what was the thoughts and I guess the goal of that program?
Yeah, so it's cool. We were actually just talking to someone on the radio stations, thanks to you connecting that today. And I'm reminded that the What's Up Detroit concept actually started in Ypsilanti. So I started this thing called Ypsilanti years and years ago, maybe 2011 or something like that. And the whole goal was and thought was that Ypsilanti's press was always depressing,
Right.
and it was so many stories and cool things about Ypsilanti that was never mentioned or swept under the rug and stuff. So I took that same concept into for What's Up Detroit because at the time in Detroit, you may remember 2011, 2012, it wasn't the attention and the love
Right.
and the energy that's
It
going
wasn't
on
being
now.
rebuilt the way it is now. I mean,
Exactly.
everyone's coming into the city and rebuilding
Yes.
neighborhoods, and
Yes.
it's great to see the city revitalized the way it has been.
100%. But there was a gap in the market with positive news, which still, that you can
Mhm.
always improve with more positive
Right.
news. So that's how it started. It was initially a website, and then, working with Denise Illich,
hmm
and being exposed to their world of amazingness.
Right.
We're at the time of working with her and Dennis Archer Jr.'s Ambassador magazine. It really gave me access to some cool things going on in
hmm
Detroit, and I'm like, I need other people to be able to experience
Right.
this. And so we're like, let's add some video, let's add video to it, and then that turned into let's call TV 20 and see how much it is to pay for a spot, and so
hmm
we did that, and then it just kind of grew from that because one, the love of Detroit and the love of what we're doing, but the events, we were
hmm
really known for our events.
The Red Seal Awards.
Yes.
Actually, I think it was before I even met you.
Okay,
I was
sure.
at the Red Seal Awards, and it was in Ambassador
Hmm.
Magazine. I
Hmm.
think it was at the Ferrari or Porsche
That
dealership,
sounds
and
about right. Yeah.
I saw Q there. I mean,
Yes.
it was,
Yes.
I saw the Red Wings there. It was a
Yes.
great night. We had a blast.
And that was the thing. It was that every night.
Hmm.
Me and Gary, photographer and good friend of mine, we always talk about how that first year we was like a kid in a candy store.
Uh-huh.
We event of overload.
Hmm.
We literally went to what was like 460 events
Oh,
that
wow.
first year.
Did
There's
you
only
sleep?
365 in a day in a year, the days in a year. So, yeah, we slept. But the thing was, our thing was okay. We're gonna hit 3 a day.
Hmm.
We're gonna eat. We're
Hmm.
gonna have a couple drinks and we got some laughs,
Yeah.
and in this wonderful environments of these events
And
and
you're
stuff.
networking, so you're meeting more
Yes.
people, and
Yes.
it's just going to build your
Yeah.
right.
And then people started hearing about the show. Oh, I want to be on the show, or
Mhm.
so those types of things. And we had some great people at the time, Jennifer and Nina, that really were involved and things of that nature. So what we're doing here is an expansion of that. It's a new thing, but that what's up Detroit in the name only confines us to Detroit.
Hmm.
So we did some research and the type of publication, the type of show that we're doing. People want food, folks, and fun. That's the
Hmm.
three main things that they care about. So that's the name. And the other thing is that I love doing names that have some nostalgia to them.
Hmm.
And Food, Folks, Fun was a tagline back in the 80s for McDonald's.
Oh, wow.
When they were really trying to promote their playground at the locations and
Hmm.
stuff. So it's a nice little play off of that too.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about you started a renovation project.
Yes.
And so tell me a little bit about that.
So being around the people I as mentioned was around in Detroit, hearing their conversations, plus my love of business, and my love of family. At the time, I think my daughter was like 8 or 9. She's like gonna be 17 now, pretty soon. Time flies. And I was like, my family has given me so much love, but one thing that they weren't able to give me was inheritance,
Mhm.
like money. Like
Right.
money for like growing up in Ann Arbor. There was kids that was graduating, getting 40 grand. Go start this or go
Right.
buy a house.
Right.
My mom's like, go get them.
Mhm.
But that's my
She
mom.
gave you work ethic.
She gave me
You know
work
what?
ethic. She
That's
gave
more than
me
anything.
everything.
Right.
But so I'm like, okay, how can I start to create generational wealth,
Hmm.
so that my daughter, and now I have a stepdaughter as well, and just in general, and for our retirements and all this type of stuff, how can I do this? So one of the things that I found is people generate generational wealth through real estate and through stock, now also crypto, probably even more so crypto. So
Hmm.
I'm into both of those things. So I'm like, I need to learn this.
Right.
And the type of person I am, I just jump in.
Mhm.
You either sink or swim,
Mhm.
either or.
Gen X.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what we
right,
do.
for sure. So I was like, look, I went back to Detroit to my grandma's old neighborhood, which was Virginia Park. And at the time, the land bank offered homes for $1,000. They still do sometimes, but they don't go for that anymore.
Mhm.
That auction goes to 30,000,
Right.
40,000, or whatever now. And the houses is jacked up. Like
Mhm.
there's, no electric, no plumbing. I would try to go and make sure that the roofs were good,
Mhm.
because being in Michigan with the weather, if the roofs are bad, you could forget it.
Right.
Your floors are hit, your
Yeah.
subfloors, So I would look for that and make sure the foundation was good. And then I bought a third of the houses on my grandma's block because they were available.
Mhm.
And mind you, these are 2 family flats, 3,000 square feet, brick homes. So they're like in Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti,
A
that's
lot
a
of
$1 million
money.
house. Yeah.
Right.
So at the time, I did that, didn't know a thing about renovating.
Mhm.
And I literally got a couple tools and started cutting grass.
Mhm.
Thankfully, through God's grace, there was a guy who was working on some other houses in the neighborhood for someone. And he saw me. I must have been looking pretty sad. with whatever I was trying to
figure
do.
out what you're
Yeah,
doing.
trying to fix a whole house with some shear clippers or
Good luck
whatever.
with that.
Yeah. So he comes over. He was like, "Man, you need some help?" I said, "Yes, yeah, I do." His name was Tony, and he was my guy for many years, and then he's like, "Oh, I got another guy," and then another guy, and then I was so every day I was just doing that, and I was like, you know what, for my grandma's house, I'm gonna wait and save that to the end when I know a little bit more what the heck I'm doing, because that's special. And then so Chip and Joanna Gaines from HGTV, who now have their own
I love
company.
them.
Yeah,
I
they're
love their
doing their
show.
thing huge. Magnolia, they were like, we love what you're doing. You're renovating homes, and you bought your grandma's house, and you're giving it to your daughter. Yes, we want to film that.
That's awesome.
It was, and the
What
way
was it like working with them?
well, so I didn't work with them directly. They had their team and all that type of stuff. But the freedom that they allowed us to do, I really haven't seen a show like it since, because it allowed me to really talk about the story of Detroit, how it went to downward from the auto industry back in the 80s, and when crack first hit back in the 80s, my granddad standing up against the dope boys in the neighborhood, him getting killed because of that, and so how much that neighborhood really meant to my family, and then so to be able to restore it, like when you see the episode, you'll see when I was a kid, there was a lion head spout on the front of the porch, and I wanted to recreate that, and we recreated it. This company came in and really hooked it up, but we recreated it, and like I was saying on the clip, when I was a little kid, everything was bigger, So to me, it was this huge lion head. So the new lion head we put on there was a huge lion head. So it was an amazing experience. You said we have a clip that they could see.
Yes, we're gonna go to clip.
Okay. I'm meeting with the guys from Capital Stoneworks today. They wanted to get a feel of the home and get some measurements of the space so that they can get the right lion's head design that I'm looking for. Correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, it's painted, but I think this was limestone.
Definitely limestone. It's softer. It's easy to sculpt. We're gonna put this in an AutoCAD 3D model.
Nice, high tech.
And then a hand carver's gonna come through though with his artistry and his skill, and he's gonna finish this up and put in all the final details.
Awesome, and that's what I was looking for. We really want this to be a standout piece. A very cool lion that has the same detail that I remember when I was a kid. All right, I hope you like that.
Yeah.
You've seen it too, right?
It was awesome.
Okay,
and,
good.
The lion's head is much bigger, and
Yes.
it's a focal point now.
It is. It is. So we did that. We actually had the highest ratings at the time, and they were like, and I think it was a combination of things. I think it was because we're African American. There's not a lot of African American. Well, now there's more, but at the time there wasn't a ton of African American home renovation shows. And the personal story aspect of it, plus Detroit. But people want to see what's going on in Detroit.
Absolutely.
So I think all those things combined led to the ratings, and they're like, hey, let's do it again. So we did a secondary one. We don't have a clip for that just yet. But so we'll see what becomes of that. But it was a heck of an experience, and I'm so glad that we did it. I'm so glad that they allowed us to do it.
That's pretty awesome. So let's talk a little bit about Food Folks Fun.
Yes.
About the network.
Yes.
Now we are on the ground floor.
Yes.
We're launching just recently.
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell us about your vision. I have my own vision.
Yes.
And I think it's pretty similar to yours.
Yes.
But tell me what you see for the podcast long term.
Well, so I think you just nailed it. When you just said that you have a vision, and the goal is to really cultivate the people who have podcast shows with us, their vision,
right?
And make sure that it's in sync with what we're doing, which more than likely it will be. But and that's what's so cool about it, is it's not like I have a vision for it as a whole, but I also have a vision for my own podcast shows. I think the beautiful thing is being a artist or a podcaster first. So we're kind of leading with that.
Mhm.
You know, obviously business is business. You got to run business.
So when you start with the creative,
Hmm.
then you can definitely build off of that. Like my show is, I'm interview. It's very messy, and let me explain. I'm interviewing celebrities, which is a lot of fun.
Yes.
But I'm also focusing on real life issues. We're doing a whole series on domestic violence.
Yes,
And
yes.
the movie Finding Nicole,
Yes.
behind the scenes. And it's very important for me to reach this. I actually
100%.
started I went back into entertainment because I was diagnosed with MS.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought, okay, I could stop right now, or I could use my voice and let other people know the symptoms and the things that was not aware of.
Right.
So that's kind of the vision of my show, and that's why I say it's kind of messy, because I'm going to go back and forth between all kinds of different topics. But the goal of my show is to bring entertainment, but also make people aware of things that we're all dealing with.
Yes, 100%.
So that's my own show.
Yeah, yes,
But
yes.
my vision for the podcast network and magazine is just to have a whole bunch of different people and all these different voices
Yes,
and all
yes.
these different creative processes. And I want us to have a podcast in a kitchen, at a
Yes,
restaurant,
absolutely.
and
We're working on
behind
one
the
right
scenes.
now. Yeah.
I mean, in a yoga studio,
Yep.
and like that's where I say I want us everywhere, all
Yeah.
over the place.
That's what's great about what we do. There's no limits. You know, I sometimes say it's a podcast reimagined. You know, we can have these mics that everyone has, or we could remove those. Which this is just for props, by the way. We have other mics that set up. We can have lavaliers mics. You know, we're sitting in a different style with TVs. The great thing about this space, in addition to it being used by Lil Wayne and Young Jeezy, which is just shows you the quality of the space. You know, it's a transformer. We could remove these curtains. You got green screen behind there. We could roll these TVs out. We could pull that screen down. We could bring in a table. We can accommodate 4 people or 2 people. And so there's no limits.
Right.
You know what? We're working. We're getting ready to work with Curtis to do some of his cool art stuff. So we could do. It's really like a TV network, and for people's expression.
Right.
Focus
And
on the community.
You had a guest. Sorry.
Yeah.
You had guests in here, and they were teaching dance lessons.
They were, yes.
And that was just awesome to see that. I
Yeah.
want to come up here and learn a
Yeah,
few things.
learn a thing.
I
Yeah,
mean,
too.
things like that. I mean, we're touching on everything.
Everything is whatever the podcaster vision is. The other great thing about it, a lot of podcasters want to get going, but they get frustrated because of the editing and the marketing and the this and the that. And so we handle all those things, you know, giving people opportunity to just be their creative selves. Come in, sit down like we're sitting down, and go home.
And let our wonderful engineers
That's right.
do their work.
Yes,
All we got to
very
do is
talented.
just show up,
Yeah.
talk, and let them do the magic.
That's
because I've never liked listening to myself. I was in radio for over a decade. I hated listening to myself on the radio. It was embarrassing. But I like watching my show because of the editing. I mean, they're bringing in clips and things. I don't get to see the finished project until everybody else does.
Right. That's
so
right.
I'm actually watching myself, which I never did before. But it's just great. The editing, I mean, they really put a lot of care and love into this.
100%.
So if you're new to podcasting, this is fine. You just show up with your ideas and let us do all the work.
Let us do it for you. You know, and as you mentioned, it's a group of really talented people. And the beautiful thing about that too is that this gives an opportunity for them as well. You know, there's not a ton of entertainment outlets in the Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor, and even Detroit for that matter. You know, so. We're providing that opportunity for the entertainment world to, whether it's get experience, take their production or whatever they're doing to the next level. So it's important work. I think it's important work.
Absolutely. Well, where are we? I know we're on YouTube and Spotify. Where else do we broadcast?
So we're on all of the podcast platforms. And we're on YouTube, as you mentioned, and the social media platforms, and then our website directly, foodfolksfun.com.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming.
Yes.
Well, I would say thank you for coming in, but you're already here.
Yes, I came from the other side of the studio.
I guess it's time for us to get back to work.
Yeah. See you later.
Thank you.